what has been described here is a structural transition towards that consumption-based economy, but not yet. We're not seeing yet the services nor the consumption side of the economy or the demand side of the economy enough to offset the slowdown in traditional industrial, heavy industry based activities. That is what we're seeing. And that is what markets are fearing. That transition will be fairly bumpy. And of course, layering on that corporate debt, I think most investors are hugely worried about how policymakers will deal with the current troubles in corporate debt. My view is that certainly this will be a test for policymakers, just how quickly the economy can recover all these new growth drivers. So I'm talking about manufacturing investments and activity. I'm talking about higher end technology driven, innovation driven goods. And of course, the emissions intensity reduction will actually be probably one of the indirect consequences that will be favorable, I think, to the sustainability of the economy. So I think overall, it will be very bumpy, certainly for the months ahead, but the structural transition is one that will always be painful. Just how this evolves and unravels will be interesting, but certainly bringing more concerns for investors.
There is a sort of whack-a-mole aspect to the debt management side of the economy, and obviously what's going on with credit growth reflecting the stance that the government has taken at this point. Weak credit growth data in September. But more fundamentally, surely, as Sam was pointing out here, there are some deeper and more worrying trends, like this high youth unemployment rate and this social phenomena of lying down that suggests that a lot of young people are basically just giving up because they don't like the kind of jobs that are available to them. How persistent could this trend be, and should we be concerned about that for the medium term?
Well, it's not my key worry for the moment. First of all, youth unemployment certainly is worrying, but I think it's a trend we're seeing overall globally, given the uncertainties of economic growth. And I'm sure the IMF's latest outlook has pointed towards that. But what's more concerning, particularly for China, is the demographic challenges. So I'm talking about an aging population. That's why we've seen the third child policy coming out, and obviously efforts being made to not only, loosen up on that restriction on births, but also to actually encourage people to have children. So the consumption constraint really is how much productivity can grow with the current population, the labour market, given that the capital market growth and other aspects of productivity growth is much, much more difficult to produce. So I think that is the key worry for me. And also, we also need to notice here that for the first time, disposable income growth, so real disposable income growth, particularly in the rural economy, is outpacing headline GDP growth. And that hasn't happened for a very long time. So I think that's actually quite supportive for consumption. We already saw above consensus retail sales this month. We'll probably continue to see that in quarter four, simply because we've had Golden Week, and obviously because restrictions on travel means that a lot of the consumption remains domestically in China. Perhaps consumption will still be a highlight for the foreseeable future.
Jinny, I want to pick up on industrial production, a low single-digit number that has been posted. What happens next? Because we know we've had power outages. The Chinese government has tried to resort to some of the dirtier fuels to ramp up supply to the market short term, but we know longer term they are still trying to hit some ESG goals, and it feels like there has been a real change in the power market where higher prices have been passed on to some consumers. Do you expect that to be a handbrake on industrial production for the rest of this year?
Perhaps not a handbrake, sort of stop or halt to industrial production, but certainly the priority is not that industry or factories continue to produce, but actually consumers, so households, do not see any outages in power supply. So absolutely, the policymakers will doing everything in their power to ensure that this current supply issue doesn't impact on consumers. But I think in terms of headline growth and industrial activity is concerned, as I said, the unintended consequence of all of this, of course, perhaps for the authorities, is that Beijing may reach that 14th five-year plan emissions target or carbon intensity target quicker than expected. So I don't think that the worry is that industrial activity is slowing too quickly. The worry is whether the power outages and supply issues will impact on households, in turn impacting on consumption and other social indicators.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.